the thing is, they're not even being intellectually honest. Because what these people do is they take a position that protects their social standing. So if Dr. Cornel West shunned genocidal Zionists, he will be less likely to be allowed on the CNN panel where he can debate genocidal psychopaths like Scott Jennings and huck it up and ham it up with him. So what the professional managerial class do is they take positions that protect their social standing, that doesn't harm their career, and then they work backwards from their conclusion from there. And then they try to gaslight us, everyone else who don't want to be a careerist, people who don't want to be part of that club, and try to explain why this is a legitimate and acceptable way to live our life. Because Dr. Cornel West, he makes the argument that we shouldn't marginalize genocidal Nazis. We should be inclusive of child killers. And this is the argument that the weak professional managerial class is going to make. These are the same people who say, I can't ever condemn Hamas. Remember, Dr. Cornel West is the same person who condemned Hamas for October 7th. How dare Hamas engage in one of the most successful military operations of all time? I only mourn when Palestinians are murdered. This is the position of people like Dr. Cornel West and Bernie Sanders. They are sad when Palestinians are murdered, but God forbid any Palestinian has a victory on the battlefield. Then Dr. Cornel West and Bernie Sanders will condemn you. People like Bernie Sanders want those Palestinians dead. And you want to look at me with a straight face for the like Dr. Cornel West and for the professional managerial class boutique left, for the people who condemn Hamas, or you want to tell me with a straight face, and this goes for every single coward and hypocrite in the West. Are you telling me that if you were a Palestinian in Gaza, you wouldn't join Hamas? Like, the idea of someone close to me, like my niece, like, can you imagine, like, if my mother was forcibly displaced by settlers like this? Like, this is Israeli settlers stealing a Palestinian refrigerator. This is what they was doing for decades. This is what I covered for years, even before October 7th. They just steal Palestinian stuff. So imagine if you have these settlers that break into your mother's home, steal her fridge, they assault your family, they burn down and they attack your religious places of worship. They murder your brothers and sisters. Are you telling me that in this situation, you wouldn't sign up for Hamas or any sort of Palestinian resistance group because Hamas is just one of many? Just the thought of my niece or anyone I love being murdered by a rogue colonizer state. Like, think about the person that you love the most just being murdered by a violent settler state that violently hates you and your people. You telling me that you wouldn't sign up for Hamas in that situation? Every single American and every single person in the West who says they wouldn't support Hamas after what these scum do is either a liar or a coward. Which is it? So I am of the belief that we should have no tolerance for these scumbags. I've been showing you guys all these videos of how Israelis radicalize their children from a young age. A lot of people like to ignore just the toxic society and how they're literally the modern day Nazis. This is the Israeli girl punching at a Palestinian just from seeing his face.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, where are you from? Israel?
Yes. Yes.
I'm from Palestine. Relax. I'm from Palestine. I'm a human like you. Free Israel from what? You don't like Palestine?
No, Palestine.
Why? They're children, bro. She's trying to punch me through the screen. They are taught to hate Palestinians at such a young age. They look at Palestinians as animals, unfortunately. That is just the reality. Hello.
Bro, when I was her age, the only thing I cared about was playing Dragon Ball Z. Playing my Power Rangers. Can you imagine having this much hate in your heart at such a young age? These are the people that are part of normal Israeli society. There's 79% of the people who support using starvation as a tool of war. Now I'm gonna get to this story because I don't know about you guys, but I plan on spending the rest of my life going after these people. What is a more noble life goal or pursuit than trying to, with us knowing that there's no statute of limitation on genocide? Isn't it a noble goal for us to spend our time trying to lock up the IDF scum, the people who enabled one of the worst acts of war we've ever seen? Live stream genocide. And I think the IDF members need to be called out. I think we need to make it a social stigma. It's already happened all over the world. We are already seeing like Zionists being made unsufferable. There's a story of an American IDF member in Missouri who was attacked, and I gotta be careful when I report that story though, because there's so many fake false flag stories. I'm still not 100% convinced that that's a real story, but apparently there was an IDF member who was assaulted in Missouri. There are IDF soldiers who are being called out in public. There are people who are being refused. There are people who are being refused service. Israelis and Zionists have no idea how much harder things are going to get for them, especially for the ones who are still young. For the rest of our life, we're going to be going after you guys. So I found this conversation interesting, and I don't actually have any hatred. I don't have any dislike for Dr. Cornel West at all. I think he's an admirable guy. I think he's an admirable guy who's doing his best to fight for his community. I just have critiques. That's all. I wouldn't even call this a diss track of Dr. Cornel West. But I've seen this, and this is the example of what you see with the professional managerial class left that annoys the shit out of me. You know what I mean? Where he argues that we shouldn't be marginalizing the genocidal scum. So actually, I'm gonna refresh it just to make sure the audio is working well. Then we can play the video. So this is the main story I want to get into. Also, I'm going to get how I'm gonna cover how Democrats are panicking because Americans are turning against Israel. So they're in full-blown panic mode and they're changing the way they speak. So I just want to cover this conversation. It's not me like trying to attack Dr. Cornel West or anything. It's just this shit is kind of cringe to me.
And I know Brother West. He embraces everybody. When he says brother Sharpton, I cringe. But he does it even though Brother Sharpton has stabbed him many a time in the back. But I say they ought to be shunned. You ought not to be inclusive of child killers. I'm asking you, Cornel, do you feel that those students are obliged to be inclusive of child killers? I'm curious, because I know you're very inclusive. Maybe your tent stretches from here to the other side of the galaxy. Do you believe that they should be inclusive of child killers?
Yeah,
Cameras are homing in
that's
on
a hell of a way of characterizing it, though, because you see, part of the problem here, brother, is that, I mean, the history of religions, which has been for the most part the history of barbarism in terms of institutional religions, they have specialized in shunning people. And once you begin to shun, then the next step is dehumanization, subjugation, and you're just redoing the same cycle that you yourself were resisting from the very beginning. On the other hand, and here this is where, now see, and he did not, we have such great respect and love for you, brother, but we don't agree on everything. Is that right, though, babe? We don't agree on everything. Because different strokes for different strokes, not in the superficial sense. Sly Stone just died. That ain't no joke. That was at the dignity of everyday people. You a different kind of brother than I am. I don't have to make you like me. You the kind of brother who have courage, intellect, unbelievable commitment to truth, and believes in shunning. I'm a different kind of brother. Shunning people who are connected with killing babies.
I don't believe in shunning as if it.
I 100% believe that we should dehumanize people who murder children, people who support. I believe if you support the Israeli military action in Gaza, if you're someone like Randy Fine and you say that we should starve Gazans away, that we should 100% make that a social stigma for you to have those ridiculous genocidal beliefs. And this is what the academic left, like Dr. Cornel West, do. Or I should say more of the professional managerial class. Because there's a reason why Dr. Cornel West is accepted on CNN and among polite society, while Dr. Norman Finkelstein, his career was ruined. He always talks about how he's broke because how they destroyed his career. That's because, and this is why Dr. Cornel West's generation of the left failed. They want us to be stripped of all emotion. And they completely intellectually masturbate over the idea of taking the moral high ground. This lack of emotion and obsession with having the intellectual moral high ground, this is a dead end way of thinking that empowers our oppressors. It's healthy to hate your oppressors. And in this shunning of legitimate emotions is why Dr. Cornel West's generation of leftists failed to connect with the masses and rein in the ruling class. They always have some elite academic explanation on why we should moderate our feelings and moderate how we believe. And the thing is, they're not even being intellectually honest. Because what these people do is they take a position that protects their social standing. So if Dr. Cornel West shunned genocidal Zionists, he will be less likely to be allowed on a CNN panel where he can debate genocidal psychopaths like Scott Jennings and huck it up and ham it up with him. So what the professional managerial class do is they take positions that protect their social standing, that doesn't harm their career, and then they work backwards from their conclusion from there. And then they try to gaslight us, everyone else who don't want to be a careerist, people who don't want to be part of that club, and try to explain why this is a legitimate and acceptable way to live our life. So Dr. Cornel West is explaining why we shouldn't shun genocidal people, because he's trying to gaslight us and try to convince us why it's okay for him to pal around with these assholes on CNN. It's extremely self-serving. But let's continue this. I wanted the video to play as much as possible, but that's me chiming in. But let's listen to some more. I'll let Dr. Norman Finkelstein respond before I chime in again. I'll go back a bit so you guys get more context.
From the very beginning. On the other hand, and here this is where, now see, and he did not, we have such great respect and love for you, brother, But we don't agree on everything. Is that right, though, babe? We don't agree on everything. Because different strokes for different strokes, not in the superficial sense. Sly Stone just died. That ain't no joke. That was at the dignity of everyday people. You a different kind of brother than I am. I don't have to make you like me. You the kind of brother who have courage, intellect, unbelievable commitment to truth, and believes in shunning. I'm a different kind of brother. Shunning people who are connected with killing babies.
I don't believe in shunning as if it were
No,
a
it's
political
connected to-
principle. It's a visceral reaction.
Yes.
There's something revolting about, and as Harvard kept writing, to be inclusive of child killers. I find that just an utterly revolting concept,
but
isn't it?
But we just different kind of brothers.
You
We got different kind of
fine.
Well, if someone was like, "Hey, man, you can't judge me too much because I'm pounding around with a bunch of Nazis, man." Would liberals be okay if you like, I'll just pound around with this person who's extremely homophobic? Like the professional managerial class left has no standards, and they expect us to have no red lines because they don't have any, because they are not. It's not good for their career to drive a moral red line in the sand. For us to say we need to put pressure on genocidal Zionists, call for them to be arrested, for them to be tried for war crimes, to unapologetically back the Palestinian resistance. But I'm sorry, I'll let this exchange continue because I think Norman Finkelstein do a good job here.
It's a visceral reaction.
Yes.
There's something revolting about, and as Harvard kept writing, to be inclusive of child killers. I find that just an utterly revolting concept,
but
isn't it?
But we just different kind of brothers.
You
We got different kind of
fine.
temperaments, man.
I'm
I don't
gonna
believe
ask
in
you-
just.
look, Cornel,
Look at it this
I'm
way.
gonna
Look
ask you-
at it
no,
this
Cornel,
way.
Would you corrupt?
If
Would
we
you?
shunned
1 second.
every American who supported the extermination of indigenous people, there's not a whole lot of folk left in the history
Cornel,
of the
fine.
If we shun
No, but we
the
could-
majority of Americans who
No,
supported the
this-
enslavement of
this
black
is-
people, the lynching of black
this
people,
is a-
Jim Crow and Drain Crow, who's left? Well, you got
This-
some Mormons, you got some Quakers and some Mennonites and so forth around. Then you got the secular Jews in Brooklyn who come in with this rich tradition and want to go to the back of the bus on the Jim Crow bus when all the black folk are there and the Goyim is in the front. That's a small group.
No, this is a rhetorical evasion.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I'm speaking
Cornel,
directly to your question. I'm just not agreeing with
Would
you.
you cavort and carouse? Because these students are complaining. They don't invite us to their parties. That's what they say. They don't invite us to our parties. They don't want us in our groups. They don't want to associate with us.
That's microsocial activity.
Would
though,
you
brother.
cavort?
We know that's not
Yeah,
the
but that's
issue.
the
That's not the
report-
crucial issue.
No,
the question is, how do you stop the killing of Palestinian children
Yeah,
and
but-
innocent folks?
fine,
And how do you
I'm
become
all-
organized and mobilized enough
No.
to bring power and pressure to bear? That's not what.
This is what your generation failed to do, Dr. West. This strategy of being accepting towards evil and tolerating intolerance accomplished what exactly? After you being in the institutional power, after people listening to the Bernie Sanders left, you want to know what the result of all this was? The Palestinians were genocided. Old head leftists really humor me. And I promise you guys, I will not be like this when I get older. If we don't have communism, if we don't have a revolution by the time I'm 60 years old, I'm going to shut the fuck up and I'm going to be humble. Because we tried it your way, Dr. West. The arrogance that the gray-haired academic class leftists have where they constantly tone police us, they pretend we're wrong as if they haven't had institutional left power over the last few decades, as if they've delivered victories for the working class. We're the victories for the working class. And I'm not judging you on a personal human level for this. I'm just saying, where does your arrogance come from? I'm legitimately asking. Where does the arrogance of people like Dr. West come from? Well, we gotta allow the Zionists in. You gotta be okay with racists. Based on what? What theory are you basing this on? What historical victories are you basing your positions on? Because after 60 years of fighting, after 60 years of being a leftist, you don't even have health care to show. You didn't even win health care for the American people. The military-industrial complex is out of control. The police state is more well-funded and more violent than ever. Why are old school-headed leftists so arrogant? What have you accomplished? The same people like Dr. Cornel West, and this is why we had our beef before. He will back up Nazis like Alexei Navalny, and these people will call Putin a tyrant and thug. In Russia, they have paid maternity leave. In Russia, they have universal health care. They provide stuff for the working class that we don't have in the United States. So you have these old gray-haired leftists from the Cold War era who hate China and Russia, despite the fact that Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin provides more to the working class than you ever want for the American working class in the United States. Bernie Sanders despised Putin, despite that Putin provided health care to his people, something that Bernie Sanders failed to do. So, and this is why they hate the RBN left. This is why we are shunned by the professional managerial class and the mainstream left. Because we are young, black, radical leftists that is questioning the way they do things. They're used to being the leftists of the left. Oh my God, look at this left, amazing radical. And we look at them and their work and we're like, hey man, we're not satisfied. I feel like you guys could have zig, we should have zagged here. We should have critiqued, and they hate us for it, guys. You guys remember? Because I critique and I explained, Dr. Cornel West, how you should be praising a CIA-backed traitor like Alexei Navalny, who is a neo-Nazi. And because I said it, he's like, oh, you just a Jimmy Dore leftist. Like, the old heads, they can't stand it when the new generation come and they correct their failures. And I'm telling you guys right now, I thought someone said I won't let you. I'm sorry, I can't read the chats. It's hard to read chats on solo streams. Someone said I won't let you. Once I'm 60, bro, if I haven't accomplished anything for the working class after 30 years of fighting, I'm a just provide financial support, and I'm allow the next generation of revolutionaries teach me a lesson. Anyway, let's continue this conversation. Only a minute left. I have one more segment I want to get to. I want to get to a segment how genocidal Democrats are starting to realize they bet on the wrong genocidal horse. Because Democratic consultants explained to them how being pro-Israel is good politics, but they couldn't calculate for this massive shift that just happened. So now modern Democrats are panicking and shifting to a more pro-Israel position. So that'd be our next segment for the day. We're almost an hour in. Please like and share, subscribe. Make sure you tune in every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like our audience for these naked primetime shows are growing, man. Bro, YouTube can't hold me down forever, bro. Like I know we don't be putting up big numbers on RBN, but man, when I see the fact that we're growing every single damn episode, it's nice to see. You know what I mean? So let's keep it up. Please like, share, subscribe if you're enjoying these rant sessions and streams. I still have a lot of guests planned. Sarah from DDG will be back. Nico House will be back. Shama, we have a new series as well. So, Nick and Shama show, or Shama and Nick. So still a lot of content. Make sure you guys support our new show. Don't let it flop, my friends. I'm gonna go back. Let's finish this clip, and I'll get back to our next segment.
They don't invite us to their parties. That's what they say. They don't invite us to our parties. They don't want us in our groups. They don't want to associate with us.
That's microsocial activity. We know that's not the issue. That's not the crucial issue. The question is, how do you stop the killing of Palestinian children
Yeah,
and
but-
innocent folks,
fine,
and how do you
I'm
become
all-
organized and mobilized enough
No.
to bring power and pressure to bear? It's not whether they get invited to some party after somebody's
Yep.
Hillel meeting and so forth and so on. No, we're not going
Would
to spend time on that.
Would you cavort and carouse with a child killer? I'm curious. I don't think that's a trivial question.
No,
You wouldn't.
no. That's why no
You would shun them, correct?
I would do more than shun, brother. I'd probably cuss them out and lose my Holy Ghost and kick their behind in the name of Jesus. But the point is, that's not normative. That's not the only model that I want everybody to proceed. I got my own way of being in the world. I'm a jazz man, got my own voice. This is how I decide to live my life. I want to love my way through the darkness. I don't believe in shunning, even given the crimes that people commit. If you got a different view, that's cool. I'm with you. We in the same demonstrations. We go to jail together, and we have fascinating conversations on child killers and how do you respond to child killers. That's all.
I just thought it was an interesting conversation. I'm interested in seeing what you guys think in the chat, so make sure you guys leave a comment what you guys thought. What I believe, and this is why the professional managerial class left has failed the working class in the United States. They take positions because they're still loyal to their class. This is the boutique bourgeois left that Marxists warn about. So if you're still attached to your class, if you are part of elite academia, if you are invited on CNN and you're part of the bourgeoisie social club, you want to know what you do when you see one of the greatest acts of resistance in modern times? You condemn it. You condemn Hamas for October 7th. That's what Dr. Cornel West did. He said he believed that October 7th was barbaric. Just condemning the Palestinian resistance. And I've seen this pattern over my years of doing this. I've seen some things. The people who want to be in the in crowd, they take positions not because intellectually or morally right, because Dr. Cornel West is making the moral argument that we should wine and dine with people who support genocide, which is crazy to me. There's no moral or intellectually defending this position that you're going to wine and dine with Scott Jennings. You know what I mean? But what the professional managerial class do is they work backwards from their position that protects their social standing. This is why many of these people endorsed Biden, and voted for Biden, like Dr. Cornel West did. That's why you would see Sam Cedar, you would see Hassan Piker. They would attack Jill Stein. Hassan Piker and Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland, they told you that you shouldn't trust Dr. Jill Stein. Dr. Cornel West says you shouldn't trust Dr. Jill Stein. Jill Stein, the person who was arrested, one of the few anti-Zionist Jews who got brutally arrested for protesting genocide, Hassan Piker, AOC, they want you to be distrustful of her. But Hassan Piker, the biggest left streamer in the United States, by the way, not just a small fry, he condemns Jill Stein, but he supports AOC. Someone who literally votes to fund Israel. So I'm going to show you guys this clip. I saw one of my friends posted this clip here, and I'm going to show you
How
guys
have you been allowed to speak
exactly
out
why.
in such a cutting way for so long?
Not yet, man.
Well, easy. Nobody listens.
Or maybe everyone listens, but no one seems to challenge you to the degree.
I don't know why the fuck they wouldn't let me pause the video. I'm gonna read the initial beef between us and Dr. Cornel West started because I criticized him supporting Alexei Navalny. You know, the neo-Nazi white supremacist who worked with the CIA to betray his people and tried to overthrow Russia. So then Putin, like any rational fucking leader, like every government in the history of mankind was, after it was caught, and he was WikiLeaks released a video where he was caught on film admitting that he took millions of dollars from the MI6 in order to overthrow his country. So you are a traitor who sided with a violent, genocidal CIA against the will of your people and the will of your government. You guys realize in every single society ever, you will get locked up for that. What society are you allowed to just take fucking bribes to overthrow your country? So people who actually understand these issues and the people who are actually the serious left, I have to explain to Dr. Cornel West, someone who claims to have someone who has a doctorate degree. That's when I revoked his doctorate. Because I'm like, bro, you have a doctorate degree and you don't understand the background behind Alexei Navalny. And you want to know what he did? Dr. Cornel West and a few others, he doubled down and repeated the CIA lie that Putin murdered Alexei Navalny. Bro, Alexei Navalny died from a blood clot. Something that you can medically prove. There is no magical blood clot ray guns, at least from my understanding, that the Russians or the CIA have. Like, in the corporate media was more than, they was happy to spread this conspiracy theory. They was like, hey, don't you know Putin murdered Alexei Navalny? No, he died from a blood clot. You can literally do forensics and shit. I'm not a scientist, but you can do forensics and shit. and you can realize how he died. But Dr. Cornel West was one of the few people who was spreading the unfounded conspiracy theory because of his Putin derangement syndrome in order to manufacture consent against war against Russia, that Putin in Russia has a blood clot gun and used that magic clot gun to force and murdered Alexei Navalny with it. So what I did, guys, is I critiqued Dr. Cornel West on that. And Dr. Cornel West's response is really deplorable because I don't know if you guys remember, he was running for president and he came on RBN not once, not twice, but 3 times in the span of a few months. And we had an agreement. Our agreement, because we are not here to do free PR for a politician. We are not here to do softball interviews. So our agreement was, hey, man, you can come on RBN. We can have conversations. But whenever you step out of line, we are going to criticize you. And remember, when Dr. Cornel West was on our show, he was like, hey, yeah, man, it's cool. I'm glad to be in dialogue with you, bruh. I want you guys to hold me accountable, bruh. I want you to hold me accountable. And remember, I was like excited. I'm like, hey, yo, this is dope, man. We got someone running on the Green Party. We got someone who's popular, running as a third-party president, who's willing to listen to criticism of RBN. And then the second that we laid criticism on him, he flipped the fuck out, smeared us. And I'm like, bro, you cannot be serious. So then after this, and then after that, that's when he dropped out of the Green Party because he got upset because the Green Party wanted him to actually organize instead of running a vanity project. So that's another time we criticized them. There was no point where I ever, and I still believe this to this day, where I ever went below the belt against Dr. Cornel West. And he is still salty. He unfollowed me. Like, they hate RBN to this day because I was just critical of him, just like he asked me to be. Meanwhile, Dr. Cornel West wants you to believe that he don't believe in shunning people. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting how that class dynamics works? So the RBN roasting and cooking of Dr. Cornel West was really regrettable. And it was something I kind of fell into. And there are a lot of people who still don't forget, who will never forgive me to this day. You guys know every once in a while I see an older black liberal person like, nigga, fuck you. I saw how you go. How dare you go after Dr. West? Oh, well, man. Oh, well. Big shout out to Louis Malone, man. You guys making doing the show worth it because, like I said, this is not a big money grift channel. We're very surprised by the algorithm, but so super chats and stickers like these really make doing these shows worthwhile. I appreciate you, Louis Malone. This really uplifts my spirit. I appreciate it, guys. I I said it many times before. You guys know the only reason I even do this is because I live in a low cost of living area. Like, but there's no way I could be doing RBN if I lived in like New York. I live in the middle of nowhere outside of Kansas City in Missouri. So I scrape by living as a very humble working class citizen journalist. So any great super chats like these, I greatly appreciate. I really do. Anyway, thank you guys. I wish I could read more of the chats. As I mentioned before, it's hard to read chats when you're doing solo streams. You producing on your own. I wrote my own script. Like, bro, I'm doing everything. Like the professional managerial class, these people who got writers. Motherfuckers got writers, producers, and shit. Like, can you imagine being that fucking lazy? Meanwhile, I do everything you see on the show. I produce, fucking make the titles, I do fucking everything. So that's why I appreciate you guys whenever you actually help me out and provide tips for my labor. That's for damn sure. So I had this video tuned for a while. For people who got short attention spans like I do, I played this video between Dr. Cornel West and Norman Finkelstein where they disagree about shunning people. And Dr. Cornel West was making an argument that it's not good for us to shun people. Even though Dr. Cornel West shuns RBN, even though we made very light criticisms of him. And I said before that I think Cornel West is being extremely self-serving and intellectually dishonest when he makes this argument, because just like everyone else in the professional managerial class, they're working backwards from their conclusion. So in order to be part of CNN, you just say, oh, I can't shun genociders. So that's why he got his position he does. So this is why Dr. Norman Finkelstein is shunned by the corporate media. He has been ruined because his principal position on Palestine, his refusal to condemn Hamas. Anyway, let me just play a video. I had this up for a while. I'll play it. Let me unmute it.
In such a cutting way for so long? How have you been allowed to speak out in such a cutting way for so long?
Well,
so the question, if you guys didn't hear it, he was like, hey, Norman Finkelstein, you've been going hard, but he does go hard. He's playing Norman Finkelstein for all the people who got upset at me for my takes on anti-Semitism. And when I say it's about Jewish supremacy, Dr. Norman Finkelstein was one of the first people I seen that said that. Where Norman Finkelstein, I believe it was on Bree's show, if I remember right, where he said, I don't even like using the term Zionism. We need to start calling it Jewish supremacy. These people are Jewish supremacists. And I was like, this nigga's spitting, bro. I popped big on that one. I was like, bro, that shit fire. So then I said the same thing Norman Finkelstein said, and then everyone called me an anti-Semite. That's how it goes. I was like, man, I think there's a problem with Jewish supremacy. They'd be like, how dare you say that? I'm like, I just said the same thing. Nigga, Norman Finkelstein said that. You guys applauded. People are confusing to me. But so anyway, the question is, why was you able to get away with being so RBN-like and not giving a fuck what you say? And the funny thing is, and the reason why I'm showing you guys this clip is that's actually a misconception. And he's going to explain how he actually did not get away with having the positions that he had.
How have you been allowed
The reality of the Zio-fascism that we live under, you're allowed to make money. You're allowed to go on CNN if you condemn Hamas for October 7th. If you take the position that Norman Finkelstein, the one I heard him say, he was like, nigga, I don't blame them for October 7th. They are 100% justified in that. This is what happens. Now do you guys see why Dr. Cornel West had the position of not shunning Zionists? Meanwhile, Norman Finkelstein like, hell yeah, I will cancel every single genocidal Zionist. Fuck them. And this is what happens to the Norman Finkelsteins, to the RBNs. This is why this is making humble, working class, middle of American income. This is why we're not millionaires like you see on Breaking Points and Cal Kalinske. Because it's very easy to be a duopoly imperialist sellout. That easy grift. It's easy to do Republican versus Democrat videos, which is why it's baffling to me. And you will see it on Twitter with the brain dead losers on Twitter all the time, where they say RBN is a bunch of grifters. I bet Sam Cedar, Norman Finkelstein is a grifter. Where's the grift in being principally pro-Palestine liberation? Where's the grift in being post-duopoly? Where's the grift in being principally anti-imperialist? Where's the grift in being an unapologetic communist? But that's all people have. Whenever critiquing people to their left, people who are engaged in liberalism, they don't know how to do it. They're used to arguing in a position where they believe they have the moral high ground. So liberal-minded people, social democrats and liberals, they're used to arguing against Republicans where they can take what they believe to be the moral high ground position. Whenever they argue against people to their left, they have nothing else but to smear, because they almost have a factory shutdown. How can someone be to my left? I thought I was the moral one. So whenever someone is critiqued to their left and they're liberal, they immediately go to character assassination, because that's how they justify someone being to their left. Oh, there's no way this motherfucker more left than me. He has to be a great piece of shit. Now you guys see why Dr. Cornel West had a complete meltdown at RBN for a very mild critique of him? We have to be part of the Jimmy Dore left grifters if we ever critiquing him. Meanwhile, look at Dr. Cornel West's interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News, and look at how hard Sean Hannity goes at Dr. Cornel West, and they just all cool. But God forbid anyone on the left challenge them on anything. The same with Marianne Williamson. Remember when Marianne Williamson ran for president? She was going on CNN, she was going on Fox News, and she was getting grilled. She was getting destroyed, and she would have chummy conversations, even though they're attacking her in the most lowball ways, and she still has a smile on her face. Thank you for inviting me on. Yeah, I understand stuff. Meanwhile, she goes on RBN, and I immediately grill her, and then she smears me as a fucking sexist. She's like, yeah, she's like, you mansplaining. Remember, she smears me as a sexist. You guys see what liberal-minded people do? Whenever someone to their left critiques them, they melt down, and they have no other reaction other than to smear their character. It becomes such a normal occurrence for me in this space. It's comical. It's almost like a scientific law at this point. Like, you have scientific theories, you test it out, you're like, man, you gotta make sure it passed the test. I've seen this pattern so many times. This shit has passed so many scientific trials. A liberal just being nasty and not able to argue in good faith against leftists because they have nothing against them. To the point where it's scientific law. And that's why you see people smear Norman Finkelstein, because he's not playing this bullshit game that many of the professional managerial class does. So let me get back to this clip. We still got one more segment to cover tonight. Same here, brother. You guys think I can ever get a corporate sales job again? Bro, if you Google my name, you'll see all the tweets and all the videos of me. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. From the river to the sea. Death to capitalism. Luigi Maggioni is a hero. Like, bro, I feel you, bro. I feel you. There's a reason why I gotta jump on YouTube 3 times a week now. Because our professional career is over. There's a high price to pay, man. And that's why it's always baffling. People who make 6 figures, people who are wealthy, people who are part of the profession, the polite society, they will then turn around to people like me and Norman Finkelstein. People who are lawyers. People are, literally people who are part of the establishment. They were like, you look at this R&B and fucking grifter. The brain rot is incredible, bro. But that's okay. Once again, I never want to be part of that society, guys. So I think that's a good place to end the stream. The point I was making at the end is, I think this is what I use to distinguish between the professional managerial class left. There are people who moderate their positions in order to fit in polite society and make an income. These are the people that we tend to call out on RBN. And people like Norman Finkelstein and ourselves and many others, they make a personal sacrifice for taking the correct position. This is why I fuck with Norman Finkelstein. You guys know I unapologetically I fuck with Norman Finkelstein. Love this guy. I don't agree with him on everything. Like, he has a few anti-communist takes that's cringe to me. I seen a few takes they have on the Soviet Union I don't agree with. I seen Norman Finkelstein say plenty of things I don't agree with, but I still love this guy. I still love this guy, even though I heard him say something I don't like. The problem is, if I ever challenge Norman Finkelstein on these things I disagree with, I feel like he would fucking destroy me. I'll be 100% honest. I'm very fucking arrogant when it comes to my debate abilities. You guys know how fucking arrogant I am. I have no confidence in my ability to fucking throw down with Norman Finkelstein. I think I'm right when it comes to my positions on communism and revolution. He has a lot of anti-revolutionary positions. But if I was to fight Norman Finkelstein on and I was to try to push back on him on that, I feel like this motherfucker would destroy me, bro. I'll be 100% honest.